Hey guys, welcome back. Today is August 4th, 2021. I'm Julia from Julia's Time Capsule, and you're watching Disney Channel. No, I'm kidding. Sadly, I'm not a multimillionaire at age 14 who's going to spend said multi-millions on bail money. And that's not me throwing shade at the Disney kids. Just, I know that if I had access to a private jet and drugs, I'd probably make the absolute worst decisions possible. Now that I messed up the intro bit yet again, let's get into today's long-ass video title. In case you're a verbal learner who took one look at this and said TLDR, I'm going to read it out for you. Today's topic is, of course, the long-awaited. I have no idea if this is long-awaited, but I'm going to tell myself it was. Blockshading video. As a subheading, it's a shortened version of my history of digital art in Scratch, and a history of digital art in Scratch. We're going to start this with the Scratch part first, mostly because it explains why I'm like this, but also because anybody who hasn't even heard of Scratch will be so lost when I try to explain blockshading. Scratch is a project of MIT, or the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. According to my skim through its fandom wiki page, it began development in 2003 and was released on January 8th, 2007. Wait, Scratch is older than me? Dang. Scratch boasts 43 million users, which may or may not be the most for its field. Its target audience are kids ages 8 through 12. Its slogan is Imagine, Program, Share. This refers to the basic principle of most user-created projects, which is to come up with an idea, create and program a project, and to publish it project in the Scratch community. While Scratch's main initiative is coding, you'll find that projects that utilize digital art are far more popular. When I was on it, at least, the only way that a project that emphasized coding would become popular or curated by a prominent user was if it had gorgeous digital art. As a result of this culture, various Scratch-specific art styles began to show up. This includes blockshading. But where am I in all this? You're probably wondering, because obviously I'm the most important thing in this entire thing. Well, in early 2016, when I was 8, my dad opened up a shared Scratch account for my brother and I. I'm not even going to tell you the username of the account, even though I want to, because the account is currently run by my father, and many of the projects on there feature the faces and names of my brother and his friends. Using this Scratch account over 5 years ago, I know, well, it'll be over, 7 years ago by the time you're watching this, I began my foray into digital art. Scratch has two modes for drawing, bitmap and vector. Bitmap is a very simple pixel art, and a vector is basically the foundations of every other type of digital art. A standard Scratch user would start by drawing on bitmap, and then the more they used Scratch, would realize how useful vector was and start to utilize it more and more, until they would criticize those using bitmap and would form a superiority complex. I'm getting off topic. Basically, the trajectory was bitmap to vector. I followed this. My first few projects were coding centered. I made a version of Pong, as everyone did back then, a character maker, and an About Me quiz, among others. But I quickly realized I could easily gain traction by learning vector and how to draw that way. Scratch had a very unique vector process, in which it was nearly impossible to simply draw lines and work from there. Scratch users had to modify and reshape circles to get their desired shape. It took a lot of time, energy, and practice to learn how to use vector, which is why most started and ended their Scratch careers using bitmap. But not me. Little 9-year-old Julia, I was 9 by this point, by the way, one of those sweet, sweet followers. Unlike other social media presences I maintained at the time, which included Twitter, Instagram, 4 and 8chan, Snapchat, and Tumblr, Scratch was the only one where I could quickly and effortlessly gain followers, and was also slightly less toxic. Once I learned how to use vector, I blew up. Not literally. My projects included art dumps, map parts, and speed draws. Later, I added blockshading and polyart to this lineup, along with a handful of coded projects. Art dumps are common now on Tumblr and Instagram, but I had never heard of them when I saw my favorite Scratch creators start to do them. It was a big show for them, a way to brag. Nobody ever really dumped their art, it was only their best stuff. I would spend 8 hours for each piece of art, and I would release it all in a project caption, just some scribbles from the past hour, XD, and watch my inbox become flooded with praise. The other main thing was map parts, or parts in multi-animator projects. These exist in a small niche in YouTube nowadays, but it's actually something that originated on Scratch, and everybody who was anyone was in a map. I was doing 3, 4, even 10 map parts in a week, and my follower count noticed. About every 25 parts that I did went to maps and went viral. I would get into school some days, and my friends would rush over to me and say, "Is this you? In this map?" Scratch was all the rage in my school, but few had ever graduated past bitmap, and even those who had weren't out for blood like I was. Map parts were like YouTube animatics. If you've never seen a YouTube animatic, you're missing a lot. Go and Google it. But lower quality art, always in full color or a color palette, and with 15 to 30 animators on a single project. Maps were usually songs, and they were generally songs that existed to the periphery of general societal view. Oh my god. Dodie, Hamilton, and Dear Evan Hansen were all popular song choices for maps. Those aren't songs, but song source choices for maps. Map parts could range in length from half a second, seriously, to a full minute. Everything was determined by the host of a map. If you had a quarter of a second part in a curated map, your follower count could increase by hundreds. Honestly, Scratch was basically a petri dish for kids with unlimited internet access. Again, I have no idea if this is true now, but it was for me all those years ago. While most of my followers were gained through map parts and a handful through F4F or follow for hollow, and then me immediately unfollowing, I did have about 30 friends. One of my best friends, with the username Sayadawi, talked with me for almost 2 years. We commented on all of each other's projects and would embark on long-winded discussions on the meaning of life. No, I'm kidding. The Scratch censors would ban you for a few days if you tried to comment the word life and log it for death. It was worse than Roblox, again, at this time. Hence, any meaningful conversations that 2 10-year-olds may have had were reduced to 100 reply-long emojicon chains. Sadly, Zai left about 2 weeks before I did. I'll link her. Oh wait, it's been 4 years. Who knows what anyone's pronouns are now? I mean, a lot can change. But I'll link their last project in the description so you can add some more love. Also, sadly, when I deleted my account, it removed any trace that I'd ever been there, so you won't be able to find me from her comment sections or even from who pressed the heart button on her projects. Zai tried to convince me not to leave and then nuke their account right before I did. Kids are weird. Anyway, that was Scratch. I was kind of famous, and it was kind of my entire life. I quit because I was going on Scratch during school, not sleeping at night making map parts and art dumps, and constantly refreshing my inbox for a new follower or a comment notification. Now, I probably don't need to tell you all this in order to explain block shading, but I didn't want to make 2 3-minute videos. According to the Scratch wiki, block shading is a type of computer art form in which a normal photo is covered with reshaped circles of the same color as the photo. There are many different block shades on Scratch, ranging from a simple piece of fruit to a complicated human face. Block shades can be done in both vector and bitmap, although some vector tools may be more helpful when block shading, such as the reshaping tool. Thus, many Scratchers prefer using the vector editor, which is also much smoother than the bitmap editor. Choosing a block shade image. The more colors are in an image, the harder the block shade will be. To do a block shade that is easy or quick, choose a simple image without much shadow, varying color darkness, or mixed colors. As said above, a piece of fruit may be a good choice for a simple block shade. Other good beginner photos include simple foods, an animal that is not too complicated, a sea star for example, or an easy to draw plant such as a tree or flower. For example though, one may choose a more advanced image with more shadowing, colors, and light variations. More advanced block shades could be a human face, a more complicated animal, or even a landscape. Creating the block shade. To start a block shade, find a spot on the image to start on. One can pick an area that does not have much color variation and make a circle around that size. Then, it must be colored to look as close to the color on the image as possible. The eyedropper tool can be used to get the exact color. To create a shape which resembles the patch of color, the circle must be reshaped using the shaping tool in the vector paint editor. The circle can then be bent and stretched to form a shape that correctly fits the color section of the image. Repeat this process, layering ellipses over each other to fill the image. Make sure to get every part of it so there are no blank spaces. Finishing the block shade. Once this process has been done for the entire image, the original photo can be deleted. Then just do some touch-ups, such such as erase excess coloring and filling in blank spots that may have been missed. The artist can compare the block shade to the original picture to see if there are any parts that look odd and fix those as well. After that, the block shade is complete. Feel free to add effects or just leave as is. And that was just me reading the English version of the Scratch Wiki. Where was I? Sadly, I don't know how to edit videos, or I would happily put some pictures of block shading on the screen for you right now. Also, my computer has been warning me for weeks that if I do anything other than the basics, it may literally explode. Out of the 15 main types of digital art, which are, of course, fractal art, or art based on mathematical computations, data moshing, or a type of video editing that creates a glitch effect, I'm going blind, I need to put my glasses on, dynamic art, which isn't exclusive to the digital field, but encompasses computer-generated paintings, scores, and sculptures where the computer has full creative control, 2- and 3-dimensional computer graphics, 2- and 3-dimensional digital painting, all four of which are relatively self-explanatory, pixel art, or in Scratch's version, bitmap, digital photography, which is, of course, a film that does not need to be developed in a darkroom in order to be viewed, like after you take a picture on your cell phone or a digital camera, you can see it. That is digital photography. Photo painting, which is the process of painting a digital photograph, or the process of a computer changing a photograph into what looks like a painting, depending on the source. Digital collage, again, fairly self-explanatory. Manual vector painting, which is quite similar to the way that Scratch's vector engine works, as opposed to other forms of vector. Integrated and mixed media painting, which is combining the digital field, I just cannot talk today or ever, with another form of media, a raster painting, which is a type of digital art created by strokes, similar to a physical painting, and finally a computer-generated painting, which is created by a computer with strong artist input and directions. Out of these, block shading is most similar to raster paintings, manual vector paintings, photo paintings, and 2-dimensional computer graphics. Another similarity to block shading to consider is polyart, which is usually associated with block shading from within the Scratch community. Polyart is creating digital art via geometric shapes that are usually triangular, while block shading is creating digital art via reshaped geometric shapes that are usually circular. To be honest, my Portrait Girl in Red, so eloquently advertised as the block shading, falls closer to a raster painting as the main types of art, but still retains key elements of block shading. Thank you for sticking around this long. I wrote an actual script for this one, as you can probably tell from where my eyes are going, because of how horribly long it was going to be, because I didn't want to mess everything up. So that will be in the description, along with a handful of sources, and of course the link to Zai Davi's last project. Again, today is August 4th, 2021. And Zai, if you're out there, hit me up. We should get a coffee sometime, or split a virtual cookie. See you next time, Julia. Oh my god, my hair is horrible. But anyway, see you next time.